9:30.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Rifle season, he wouldn't stand a chance.
Think the old 243 could shoot that far?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, just aim about 40 feet high. Yeah, he was alone last night and he found 2 more buddies to spend the night with, so it's gonna make things a little more interesting, right?
Challenge us a little bit.
Yeah, can't be too easy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what, maybe 300 yards from where I got mine last year?
Yeah.
So we'll try and make something happen. That'll just add to the story.
This is going to be called Devin's property right away.
Yeah. Put an offer in on the sanctuary next next door, hey?
Over the past 3 years, my good friend Devin Nagy and myself have made it an annual tradition to spend a week together chasing mule deer in the prairies of southern Alberta. 2 years ago, Devin was finally able to connect on his very first archery buck, and let me tell you, he was hooked. As he made the trip down once again this past fall, I was looking forward to our time spent together trying to find a suitable buck to chase. The mule deer crop this past season was relatively weak, and finding a mature buck was becoming harder and harder to do each week.
I think this is the one, yep. I know I thought the last one was the one, but this is the one.
That last one looked big though.
You know, he's tall.
Yeah, crazy tall.
This guy's a little more boxy. Staying dry over there?
I'm trying to hide behind the window because it's like sleeting and raining. We've been watching this deer since 7 o'clock this morning and it's 2:30 now. We've been waiting for the wind and the wind came and it brought it a hailstorm with it, and it's raining and sleeting and freezing cold, and we've been trying to make a game plan. I can barely see out where they're at just through the rain. But he finally got up and moved out into a decent spot, and now there's 2 other deer that have been the variable for the rest of the day, and they seem to be wanting to make a move as well. So trying to look without getting pounded.
We'd be better off if it was snow at this point.
Yeah, those 2 are making their way to the left.
That's good.
I think they're gonna go into the trees and get out of this mess, and then we're gonna be able to maybe try and sneak in. Got to be blowing 50k out there though, so it's gonna be like a 10-yard, 15-yard max shooting range at this point. Is a tractor coming? Yeah.
I've been practicing at 30 with winds like these, so we're good.
Oh yeah, golden then.
I brought my kite too, so we can just hot shot right over there.
Fatal Impact is proudly sponsored by Vortex Optics, Wood Wheaton Supercenter, Covert Scouting Cameras, Old Smokes Coffee, Black Widow Innovations, and the MD of Bonneville. This segment of the show is brought to you by Deluxe Wall Tents, built in Canada for Canadian conditions.
We just spent all morning waiting for wind to pick up. We're watching this nice typical 4x4 all day from about 7 o'clock till when did the wind show up? 2, and it brought a jag of rain and sleet and all sorts of ugly with it. So we finally got a little break in the weather. We had a couple deer we just bumped. It looks like they went up over the hill, didn't bother our guy any. But on the way over, We got 2 more bucks that are now a factor, so we're just making our way over. He's bedded in a nice little bluff. We were there yesterday. We already went through the motions, so he should be able to pop over hill, and we're hoping to be within 30 yards. The wind's gusting pretty good, so we don't want to be poking too far today. The end goal obviously is get 15, 20. It was on the same chunk of land last year. Another beautiful deer. That's exactly what the situation was. We got really close, put a good shot. So I think right now it's probably 3:30, getting close to 4 o'clock. We've got limited time. He's only going to be bedded for so much longer. There's 2 other bucks on their feet already, so we got to move in quick and hopefully we can put a play on him. We had to close some distance. He stood up at 40 and I drew back, and by the time I stabilized after a big wind gust, he had bedded down already, so now we cut our distance in half. I think we've caught him this time. Meh. No.
How bad does that hurt?
Well, What are you doing? All he's doing is poking a stink hole at you. And you can tell the moment he sees us. And then of course no limbs work and fingers are frozen, legs are paralyzed. Do a little fumble and we had him at 20 yards there. I think we were probably hanging out for close to an hour and a half, eh? Wind's howling. We were just up the little hill here probably 45 minutes ago. Spent the better of our time there. Dana proposed getting a little closer, and I don't know, it was a 40-yard shot, right? You do them all the time, and he stood up. It took a while. He's feeding right towards us. Finally did a little turn. I drew back, and by the time I stabilized from the wind, one little gust blew me off. By the time I stabilized, he bedded down already. So yeah, we just closed the distance, got within 20 yards here, hung out for another 45 minutes. We're both frozen. Everything went good. He stood up, now facing directly away. So you can't do anything but just wait your turn, and unfortunately he spotted us before we got a shot off.
Turn the wrong way. Why couldn't you just take half a step the other way?
Oh, yeah, it was, I had both sides there, but it's just too tight, right? You got what, hip and then shoulder blade, and if you don't thread the needle, you got a wounded animal. So a lot of times it's best to just watch them run away, as crappy as it is. We got a really bad weather day tomorrow. I don't know, I think 2 inches of snow is blowing in. Sure feels like a northerly wind today. So we're gonna head her back to the truck now, crank the heat seaters or the seat heaters, as me and Jamie say, hey, and yeah, hopefully get some feeling back into our limbs.
How cool was that though?
That was big. He didn't shrink, hey?
No.
That was a big deer. Over the shoulder footage too, hey, like it would have been mint.
Oh, you should have been dead.
Oh yeah.
Fatal Impact is proudly sponsored by Mad Ramps, Deluxe Wall Tents, Victory Archery, Top Notch Taxidermy Studio, Fedro Premium Ammunition, High Mountain Seasoning, Eye Hunter, and Arkin RV. This segment of the show is brought to you by the MD of Bonnyville. Lake adventures happen here.
Devin and I spent the rest of the week together, battling it out through the grotesque weather conditions. Stalking mule deer in freezing cold temperatures and snow on the ground is never ideal, and Devin would ultimately head home empty-handed. With the last week of the season upon us, the weather warmed up slightly, and I finally had my chance to spend a week trying to find a deer for myself.
He's a long ways away, but we've been watching this deer since first thing this morning, as soon as the sun came up. And he's 3 kilometers away, give or take. And through the vortex spotter, I can tell that it's a pretty tremendous deer. I don't know if he's 170 or 190, but he's big. I obviously can't pick apart his forks, so I just know he has a really big frame. He looks fairly heavy, tall, not real wide, but definitely worthy of hiking back down and getting a closer look at him. Not nearly as many deer as I was expecting this morning. Came to a new spot, and seemed like everything was down fairly early. A lot of the bucks that we did see, catch a glimpse of them, they went into some brush and down they went, so thinking maybe the full moon might have something to do with that. We've been waiting for the wind to come up, and it's starting to, but it's gonna have to shift a little bit more. He's in a money spot, but with the wind that we have today, surprisingly, I'm actually really surprised. Normally a west wind is ideal, but where he's at, it would be marginal at best to come from that side. He's in a small, shallow little finger, so we're going to be able to actually just come from across, and it should be hopefully under 40 yards, but I like our odds a lot better if we could come above him, but I don't think the wind's not in the cards today, so
After settling into position, we waited nearly 2 hours before he finally stood up and fed out from his bed.
One, two, three. Oh no. Oh no.
This segment of the show is brought to you by Wood Wheaton Supercenter, a proud supporter of our outdoor heritage. This segment of the show is brought to you by Vortex, the force of optics.
Darcy, we got him. What a stalk that was. We got to 45 yards and he stood up and fed right where he was supposed to go. But it was so windy and gusty down here. We pulled back, stood up, no idea we were here. And when that arrow released, gust of wind, it could have been me. I don't know. I don't want to blame it on anything. But it drifted back further than I wanted it to go. But luckily he had no idea we were here, and he only ran 50 yards around the point, and I was able to just run up, sneak over, and he was on his way out, and I just finished him off. Another quick, well-placed shot, and we have a beautiful deer down. This is where he was, sleeping. This morning I actually filmed him with my phone scope, bed down in that bed, or that massive bed, and I'm pretty sure that's the main one. And then once the sun actually came through and hit him, I had watched him stand up, come over here, and bed back down, and that's where he was. Beautiful buck. We're gonna have to roll him over though. Look at that deer. Beautiful tall G2s, big deep front forks. Really good back fork here. I guess he's got one weak-ish back fork, but still a really, really beautiful deer. I'm just so thankful it all worked out. It wasn't a perfect shot. I'll be the first one to admit that. Hit him a little far back, well, quite a bit far back. But for me, there's just something to be said about shooting at an animal unaware to your presence. And in a situation like this, where the shot is less than ideal, he had no idea we were there. He had no idea what happened. All he knew was he was hurt. He ran 50 yards, bedded back down, and I was able to immediately just sneak up again and put another one in him, and it was over in a matter of a couple minutes. So I'm really thankful he didn't take off, but I know that if this deer was staring there looking at us when I shot, he would have had that shot of adrenaline as soon as that arrow hit, and he probably would have ran 400 or 500, 600, maybe a kilometer, and we'd have spent the next 2 days looking for him. So always try to get into a position where we can shoot at a deer that's unaware of our presence, and kind of gives you a little bit more forgiveness, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm super thrilled with him. He's a beautiful deer, and I couldn't be more thankful. Gorgeous, gorgeous buck.